All right, we continue. This is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's go out to the guest line right now and welcome in a man that won a Super Bowl with the Indianapolis Colts. He is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and he's going back to school as he's now the director of player development for his alma mater in Syracuse, and that, of course, is Dwight Freeney. Dwight, always great to have you on. How you been?
Oh, I've been good, man. How you been?
Well, I've been fantastic. Congratulations on this new role. I was telling you, I know Fran Brown and Elijah Robinson many years ago, back when they were on the same staff under Matt Rule at Temple. So very excited to see what they've done in the last year at Syracuse. But
Yeah.
how'd you kind of get back involved in your alma mater, and why was this something, director of player development, that you said, okay, that's something that I'm interested in participating in?
Well, first of all, I think he's just the type of man that Fran is. He's, pretty much keep it real, and tell you exactly how he thinks. And I do love that. Sometimes you get around coaches and you have a certain saying, right? It's called coach talk. They just say stuff that, it's halfway true, halfway not, sugarcoat.
That's not
Fran's
Fran.
not, that's not Fran. That's not Fran. He tells you exactly how he feels. And I absolutely love it. The kids respond to it. And I think it was a good time for me. Right now, I'm not doing much other than taking care of my family and hitting this golf ball. And I don't understand why I can't hit it straight. So I said, you know what? I have a little bit more time in my hands. So let me go out and try to figure out how that can help the university.
I guess you could only fish and golf with Michael Jordan so much, right? Your close personal friend.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I mean, I don't think that stuff ever gets old. But when you're not hitting the ball good, man, it's good to have something else.
So, how did you become so close, by the way? I know we talked about your relationship with Michael before, but how did you guys become
Yeah.
so close through the years?
Well, one of his best friends back in the day used to live in Indianapolis. And so in the off season, back in 2003 or four, when he had an off season and I had an off season at the same time, they would call me, the young kid, the best friend would call me, and then I would hang out with MJ. I got invited to his golf invitation in 2023. So that's 2003 actually. So that's where I met him first, and the relationship grew from there.
Awesome stuff. The Pro Football Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney here with us. I saw that Syracuse named Steve Angeli their starting quarterback the other day. You guys have a really fun opening game up against Tennessee. They're going to start Joey Aguilar. I know a
Mhm.
lot of us are familiar a little bit with Angeli from his time at Notre Dame a year ago. What can you tell us so far about how your quarterback is kind of fitted into Syracuse? So a year ago, hey, Kyle McCord walked in from Ohio State and had a pretty successful
Yep.
season for the Orange.
Well, I think what Fran likes to do is get the quarterback comfortable. Kind of doing the things that he's comfortable with doing. And as I kind of visit practice and work with some of the guys, that's what I saw. Trying to get him comfortable doing the things that he loves to do. And we have a great offensive line. We have a great running game. So I think there's a lot of complementary things around him as well. So it's not going to be all on his shoulders and gunsling in every single play. No, we have a very balanced offense. So I think Fran, he has done a really good job of kind of understanding what players need. He was a player himself, and I think he'll be good.
It's interesting, and you know this. Football is a copycat league. Like in the NFL, each and every year in the draft, the question is, who could be the next Patrick Mahomes? And now in college football, the question becomes who could be the next Travis Hunter? And I've seen some comparisons with the youngster that you guys have on your roster in Demetrius Samuel Jr. and his two-way ability. How do you kind of envision his role this year as he gets ready to debut at Syracuse?
Well, I think it's going to be a growing process, and it's going to, we're not going to just throw them out there in the deep end and go ahead and play two ways like you did in high school. It's kind of one of those things where you're going to have to adjust, and you're going to have to make sure that you have one side of the ball steady and solidified, and before you start jumping around as receiver, and when you have to, focus on being a defensive back.
Yeah, and you look at what Coach Prime did last year, and in the last few years, it's an anomaly, right? Travis Hunter to me is one of one, just like how Patrick Mahomes is one of one. But there's a lot of people, like when I was at the Super Bowl this year, I had two teammates on the same time, Bobby Okereke and Kayvon Thibodeau, and they were both sitting there, and they had two different answers. One was like, "Hey, I think Travis Hunter could play both ways in the NFL." The other was like, "I don't think the wear and tear in the NFL he could really hold up." What are your thoughts when you kind of hear of the Jaguars' approach that they're going to play him both ways, and he's going to be getting more snaps than any player probably in the league this year.
Well, look, the one thing that's guaranteed in the NFL is that everybody's going to get hurt, and everyone gets hurt. I don't care if you're the long snapper. You're going to get hurt. Now, you may not get injured. So the more you put your body in I guess the fire, let's call it, and go out there and you torque your body and you get banged around. This isn't college. Everyone's not your age. There's guys been playing football for 10 years, played 2, 3 college seasons, and you're going to be taking a pounding. So I think, is it possible? Yeah. I mean, I think he has the ability to do it. Now, are we talking longevity? How long will he do it? I don't think he's going to do that his entire career. I think, maybe he'll start, the first couple years and he'll probably play a little bit of both. But, I just think your body's going to wear down and you're going to get hurt and you're going to be battling injuries. So, I think you're going to have to focus on one thing, and what that is, I don't know.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney here with us. Your Colts today, they made a big decision. They named Daniel Jones the starting quarterback. How do you react to that, Dwight Freeney?
Well, I think Daniel has a lot of experience. Okay, he has a lot of experience in the quarterback position. And the thing with Indianapolis is just trying to find ways to take care of the ball. Take care of the ball, and the ball is the most important thing. And I think having Daniel as the starting quarterback, I think they're going to be able to do that a little bit better than Anthony. Now, Anthony, obviously, he has to grow. He has to learn. He's still a kid when you're talking about from a quarterback perspective. He didn't play that many college games as a quarterback. So he's still learning this game. Unfortunately, he gets hurt a lot because of the way that he plays the game. He plays it all out. And sometimes he probably needs to slide more than not. And sometimes, you get a little unlucky. But I don't disagree necessarily with the decision. As long as Daniel just takes care of the ball, and the Colts will be fine.
And I saw that Shane Steichen said that this isn't just like a slight decision. This is something that there's no short leash. They anticipate Daniel Jones being their starter for the entirety of the season. Now, this is Anthony Richardson's third season in the league. You're right. He didn't play a ton in college. He hasn't played a ton in the NFL. He's only 23. We've seen guys have these redemption stories like a Geno Smith, like a Sam Darnold in the last few years. Do you feel like he still has a future in the league, but maybe just that future for Anthony Richardson isn't in Indianapolis?
Well, look, he's 23 years old. All right. There's guys coming out as a rookie is 23 years old. So understand is that there is a lot of time for him. As long as he keeps everything in perspective. All right. And understand that you can always get better. You can always learn. All right. And your time is coming. Now, when that time is, who knows? It could be this year. Daniel can go down with an injury.
Sure.
Daniel can start playing bad. Anything could happen. He just has to be ready to go when it's time.
You talk about the future. I know you're focused on Syracuse, but at Texas, I'm sure you may have heard that your former teammate has a nephew, and we're all waiting to see what that looks like from start to finish. Just what do you think Arch Manning could eventually be, especially with that name and all the great quarterbacks he's had to learn from?
I mean, I think sky's the limit. He has the ability. He has the genes. He has, Uncle Payne and Uncle Eli. That can tell him what to do and when not to do it, and play the game the way it's supposed to be played from the quarterback position. So I think that having that type of surrounding, even talk about, Pops, Archie, having that type of surrounding you as a college player, you are completely blessed and have a big advantage. Now, what does that mean? I mean, that tells you that, he'll be more prepared than most. His fundamentals should be better than most. But you still have to go out there and execute, and you still have to go out there and play. And so, yeah, sky's the limit. But I would say that he still has to go out there and do his own thing and be him. And that just depends on the weapons that he has around him and how he really, I guess, engulfs himself into that system of wherever he is.
And I know his grandfather made it clear a week or two ago that this wasn't going to be just 1 year starting and then off to the NFL. He'll thinks he'll be there as a starting quarterback for 2 years. But that being said, there's a producer around here that I work with. He's a big Colt sycophant. We call him Hot Take Hickey. He's devastated today because he took all the bait with Anthony Richardson. And the moment I saw him today, he said the march for Arch has already begun in Indianapolis. Could you
Oh
ever
my goodness.
envision Arch Manning quarterbacking the Colts one day?
You know what, man? Anything is possible. I promise you. Hopefully it's not coming up anytime soon. That means the Colts is probably playing bad. So let's let's keep the everything on the positive side of the ledger. All right, let's think positively, guys, and hopefully that the Colts will do what they need to do and be a contender. And hey, if they're not and they're bad, they gotta be really bad, I think, to get a chance to get Arch.
Well, we are on one of our affiliates. We have the ticket in Indianapolis, and a lot of people will always remember Jim Irsay, and he had such a close relationship with you when you were playing there for the Indianapolis Colts, and even afterwards. And back in May, Jim did pass away. Just how do you remember the former owner of the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, I mean, Jim is just, yeah, the way there's no other owner like him. And I played for a bunch of other teams. That's taking nothing away from the other guys, but Jim was one of those guys that, he would do anything for his players. And you felt that. And it's obviously sad that he's not here with us today. I would always remember all the times, all the jokes, all the smiles. He's one of those guys when you see him, you just got to laugh and you feel good because he's going to be on the positive side of things more times than not, and feeling good and making you feel good about being wherever you are. So he's going to be dearly missed. He was one of a kind. You know, all his emotions were always on his sleeve. You always knew exactly how he felt, and he was one of us.
And I'll tell you, Dwight Freeney, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, is here with us. I grew up, I still am a Patriot fan. So those Patriot Colts games were epic. And early on, you guys struggled to get over the hump with the two playoff losses. And then you guys had that comeback that still annoys me. Back in 2006 at halftime, I was already booking my tickets as a youngster through my
Yeah,
dad, getting ready to go
yeah.
to
You'll
Florida
be, yeah,
for
you'll
the
be
Super
fine.
Bowl.
You guys
Yeah.
won enough. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but that one because it was up against the Colts did annoy me. But I was talking about this the other day because now, right, Mahomes in the NFL is playing the role of Brady. The Chiefs are playing the role of the Patriots, and the Bills kind of get that feeling of what you guys were going through. You guys broke through. Do you feel like it's inevitable that it's just Buffalo's time and eventually they'll have their moment like you guys did back in '06?
I don't think anything's inevitable. You got to earn everything, and you got to fight and scratch and claw. And the Bills, they're looking good. Every year they look good. Every year I'm like, man, these guys are getting better every year, and Josh is getting better every year. Now, does that mean it's going to be their year? Who knows, man? Flip a coin. You never really know because you could do great in the regular season and then the playoffs all of a sudden do nothing. Some of our best years in Indianapolis, we were like 14-0 going into, and then all of a sudden we lose the first round. So we don't know what's going to happen here. The Chiefs, they may lose in the first round. And then Buffalo might win, or you never know. So I think they're moving in the right direction. All right. I think, they continue down this track. I think eventually they'll win one. Um, when that is, I don't know. Buffalo, think about it. Back in the day, when my man Bruce Smith was playing for Buffalo, they went to four Super Bowls
And
and
lost them
didn't
all.
win and lost them all. So, that's my point. You don't know what's going to happen. I just know they're trending in the right direction.
Why were you guys mentally tough enough to overcome all that adversity and have that comeback? And then you got to the Super Bowl and you guys were able to touch that Lombardi.
Well, I just think that you have to, trust what you know. And for us, we always stay in the moment. We don't look too far ahead. We don't look back. We stay in the moment and really deal with what's important in the moment now. All right. And, in that particular game that you're referencing, yeah, we were down. But, for us, we've been down before and we understand how to come back. That's just built in our DNA. And that's all what we've always done. So yes, that particular year was a great year, obviously, because we were able to channel all those things that we always knew that we had within us, and it worked out in the right time, and the ball bounced the right way, finally at the right time. All right. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce the right way. You could do all you want and have mentally tough all you want, but sometimes this isn't your time.
I also want to ask you about a former teammate of yours. Later on in your career, you made your way out to the Chargers and you got to play with Philip Rivers. We just saw Antonio Gates go into the Hall of Fame. I talked about you getting snubbed, not in right away. Gates got snubbed as well, but eventually you get in, and then it's obviously worth it. With Philip Rivers, I think it's going to take some time. I don't think he's going to get in on the first ballot next year, but to me, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Six all time in passing yards, six all time in NFL history in passing touchdowns. Do you share that same sentiment as I do that he'll get in the Hall of Fame one day?
I mean, absolutely, without question. Without question. It's always a tough thing. Obviously, everybody wants to be first ballot, right? I think I had a great career. I wanted to be first ballot, wasn't in the cards. Okay. I'm not the one who votes. And the people who vote, they decide what they decide. I know looking back on it, I'm great. I'm feeling good because once you get there, no one there cares if you were first ballot or second ballot. More or less, people who really care is either you, the individual, like, oh, I really wanted to have that on my, or everyone else outside of that room of 382 guys. So as long as you get in the Hall of Fame, you're one of the guys. Doesn't matter when you go. We'll embrace all the guys the same way. As you, this is you're coming home. So Philip, it's gonna happen. Who knows? It could be this year, could be in 5 years. I don't know. But I think he deserves to be there regardless.
On the way out with the Pro Football Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney, you have a great player perspective, so you understand the business of this game. Right now, Micah Parsons is looking for a new contract. Jerry Jones thought they had a handshake agreement, and now Jerry Jones won't talk to the agent. He thought he could just get the deal done with the player. Trey Hendrickson is in Cincinnati. They don't want to give him guaranteed money past the first season. How about those two situations and just putting your player cap on for a second?
Yeah, it's tough, man. There's always another side to this thing, and I think fans just need to understand that yes, we love the game and we want to play the game to its fullest. We also want to be there for our teammates, absolutely. But we're also running a business and we have a family to take care of and a future that we want to make sure is right. And I think sometimes people lose sight of that. And it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. I think both of those guys are worth every penny. Um, but it's also, the decision by the team. The team, the ownership have to make the decision what's best for their team. And if they feel like, Hendrickson and Micah isn't worth the number, it's their prerogative. Somebody's going to pay the number. Let's just be clear. So they're going to get their money if that's the number that they want, regardless, somewhere. If not there, somewhere else. All right. But in the end, it's a business on both sides, and both sides have points that they're right, and it is what it is. You just have to go through it, and you have to negotiate it, and hopefully, they do the right thing. I want to see Micah stay in Dallas, and I want to see Hendrickson stay there. But you never know, man. It's just one of those things. You wish it didn't happen, but it happens all the time.
Last thing I'll ask you, and then we'll let you run as we wrap it up with the Pro Football Hall of Famer, Dwight Freeney. Just circling back to Anthony Richardson with the news that he didn't win the job today. You being one of the great Colts of all time, what would your message be to him as he gets ready to go through this season?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what I said earlier, it's just look, you just have to stay focused. And these things happen. It's how you react to that adversity, how you bounce back when, things are looking bleak. That's what's going to happen here for him is, look, you can't get too down. You're 23 years old. You have your whole entire career still ahead of you. You don't have a lot of experience at the quarterback position. You never did. So understand is that learn. Right now is the time to soak it in and learn. And I promise you, he will have an opportunity again to be a starting quarterback without a doubt. If not there, somewhere else. Just be ready when it happens.
There he is. He's the director of player development now at Syracuse. His golf game's been a little bit inconsistent. Don't get too upset with that. My driver's been good this
It
summer.
has.
My irons have been complete garbage, and it's the most
Yep.
frustrating thing in the world.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
hey, Dwight, good luck this season with Syracuse. We appreciate you jumping on board today.
Exactly. Take care.